Sometimes in our business, we need to create estimates, proposals, or quotes for customers before starting a particular project. QuickBooks lets us create an estimate and convert that estimate into an invoice. Let's start by creating a simple estimate and converting it into a sale. Click the New menu, and under Customers, click Estimate. The estimate window is just like an invoice, with one exception, and that's the status field here in the top left corner. We start by entering our customer. Then we enter the date of the estimate. Next, we can enter an expiration date if we wish. Then you can complete the body of the estimate just like you would an invoice. Let's add one additional line item to this estimate. We enter the first few characters of the service. Then we can press Tab and QuickBooks will complete the remainder of the line for us. Now we have the complete estimate. Before saving, let's review the status field. In the top left corner of the estimate, there is a status indicated as pending. If we'd like to accept this, we can click the drop-down arrow and change the status to accepted. This will let us convert this estimate into an invoice. We can do this at any time. We also have the option to add who accepted it and the date that it was accepted. Finally, after completing the estimate, click Save and Close, and QuickBooks adds the estimate to the customer's record. We can review those records by going to the Sales category on the left-hand navigation and choosing Customers. Now click Estimates, and there we see under the Estimate section, Ecker Design, our customer with one open estimate. Now let's suppose that we've completed the work and we're ready to complete the invoice for the customer. At the end of the line, click Start Invoice. QuickBooks takes the invoice window and adds to it on the right-hand side a drawer that includes all of our open estimates. Let's suppose we want to invoice in full. We can go to the estimate and click Add, and QuickBooks transfers all of that information directly across to the invoice for us, making it accurate and exactly like the estimate was issued for the customer. Now we can click Save and Close, and QuickBooks completes the invoice for us. That's how we'll create a simple estimate and then an invoice. QuickBooks also has the ability to use progress invoicing. This lets us create an estimate and invoice for it over time, otherwise known as progress invoicing. We can progress invoice based on percentages or on actual items from the estimate. To get started, let's review the estimate setting. Click the gear icon and then go to Account and Settings. Click Sales, and then as we scroll down, there's an option Progress Invoicing. Create multiple partial invoices from a single estimate. Click the pencil icon to edit, and turn this feature on. Then click Save. Click Done to close the settings. Now we'll create an estimate just like we did in the previous example. Click the New menu, and then click Estimate. Enter the name of the customer, and then the estimate date. Let's suppose we're creating an estimate for the new year of snow removal. Now enter the products and services you're going to estimate for. We'll enter a lot of information here. Now we'll enter our second line. And then we'll enter one more. And that completes our large estimate for this customer. We have multiple lines on the estimate that we can then use an example to create an invoice. So now we'll click Save and Close to save the estimate. Now let's suppose that our customer has called us and has accepted our estimate. We can change the status of the estimate from pending to accepted. Go to the Sales on the left-hand navigation and then click Customers. Click 3 estimates here. And then under the City of Toronto, we can click the one open estimate to view it. Now, change the pending to accepted. And then click Save and Close. Now let's suppose that several months have passed and we are ready to start invoicing for the services provided. We can do that directly from the same window. We can click on Create Invoice. Now, since we have progress invoicing enabled, here we have a question. How much do you want to invoice? QuickBooks gives us 3 options: the total of the invoice, a percentage of each line, or a custom amount for each line. Let's suppose that we have an agreement with our customer to invoice for 50% now and 50% at the end of the season. We'll select the second option, enter our percentage, and this will give us a total that will be estimated and then invoiced to the customer. So now I'll click Create Invoice, and QuickBooks takes 50% of all of the line items and adds them to the invoice. There you can see the products and services, their description, and then the amount due, and it indicates that 50% has been invoiced. Now we can change the date, and then we would click Save and Close. Now let's suppose we're ready to create our last invoice. We can do that by going back to the Customer Center and starting the invoice, or we can go to the New menu, click Invoice, and then we enter the name of the customer. If we do it in this way, QuickBooks will remind us all of the outstanding estimates available to add to the invoice. So on the right-hand side, we see the Add to Invoice option. We'll click Add, and QuickBooks once again asks us how much do we want to invoice. We'll select 50% in this case, which equals the same amount as remaining total of all lines. So we can choose whichever one works, and then we would click Copy to Invoice. QuickBooks copies the rest to the invoice. We'll change the invoice date, and that completes the progress invoicing of that original estimate. So now we click Save and Close, and QuickBooks completes that, and that estimate will now be closed. Let's review that by going to the Reports menu again. We'll review our estimates by customer. And there we see the City of Toronto estimate has been closed, and that's because we've invoiced for it in full. You can use estimates to work with customers as needed and create progress invoices from those estimates.